What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to Comic Book Nerd Nation, episode 49. Super close to episode 50. Make sure you stay tuned next week. We will have something special planned. Hopefully, we can get the whole crew here. I'm Fox2. We got Pirate.
Hey, guys.
And the whole F and Brian.
Hi.
Okay, so let's just, my vote is that we just cut straight to the chase. Let's skip what we've been reading this week, because that's going to be a whole lot less interesting than all the news that's going on.
Yeah, I only read C Spot Run.
I say we kind of take it small and then kind of build up. So I was thinking we could start by talking about the new episode of Flash. Have you guys all seen that, Captain Cold?
I think I said last week that it might take a season for Flash to be my favorite show, but after last week's episode, that was awesome. I mean, the pinnacle of Flash, just like they just showed it right there with this Captain Cold, and by the end scene, the start of the Rogues.
Yeah.
That's what we've all been waiting for.
What do you think, Pirate?
I mean, yeah. And I think that dude from Prison Break played a great Captain Cold. I think they did it well. His freeze gun was awesome. His little fight with the Flash, with the first scene when he froze him and he actually hit him with it, that was awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was, Pirate and I have talked about this several times, at work and different places. And, kind of the thing that we always come back to is, Arrow has had time to establish itself and everything like that. But the writers, they kind of saw how Arrow was going, and they were able to get a jumping board and kind of get an early start for the Flash series and make it a little more exciting. I have to agree with Brian. Flash is, in my opinion, a better show than Arrow thus far. I am a few episodes behind on Arrow, but we've only seen, 4 or 5 episodes maybe of Flash, and every episode is better than the last episode. Every single time. You know what I'm saying? You watch the first episode, and the second episode was better. And then you watch the third episode, and the third episode was better than the second episode. And then the fourth episode is better than the first 3. And it's it makes me wonder how far they can take it before they have the inevitable slow episode that, some of us don't really care for.
Well, another thing too is I like that Flash so far is pretty much every episode is like its own individual little story. There's been a little bit of an overall story that you're seeing that's going to develop.
Mm-hmm.
But unlike, Arrow, where they might have, they had a whole season of nothing but just Deathstroke, and Brother Blood. You know what I mean? So there was all this stuff going on in the background. There's no flashbacks in this one. It's just all action. It's just all story, current story that's going on in Flash, which is different than Arrow, because, some of that shit in Arrow can get kind of slow, especially when they have, an episode and then there's not really a lot that happens, just kind of setting up for the next episode. Flash hasn't had any of that yet.
I also liked about this most recent episode of Flash was how they incorporated Felicity Smoke, and they're starting to lead towards that tie-in episode, which was episode 8, I think, of The Flash is going to be a crossover.
Yeah, episode 8 of The Flash, and then it leaks into the following day, Wednesday, which is episode 9 of Arrow, because Flash takes a break for a week because of Election Day.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be really interesting. I thought the way that they brought Felicity Smoke into the Flash TV show and how they had her kind of relate to what are their names? Shit, the support staff for Flash.
Caitlin, Frost, and Cisco.
Yeah. I thought
I forgot her last name.
I thought that was really neat, the way that she was kind of showing them the ropes of how to be a sidekick ish person. You know what I mean? Like, it was pretty sweet.
You know what I noticed on last week's episode, and I don't know why I haven't caught this at all yet. The family that raised Flash, their last name is West. So,
Wally West.
And the fact that they're African American, are they going to bring in the new Wally West?
They said, I think they said like they might later on bring him in or something like that. I mean,
Okay.
Wally West in the New 52 is from a different. Is he from that time, or is he another future Flash?
I think he's from that. No, I think he's from the current time.
Because they in the New 52 they made the West black also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I haven't read that much Flash.
No, neither have I in the New 52. But if you guys, I don't know if you guys know or not, or everybody out there listening, but this episode was also so good because Jeff Johns wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And he's scheduled to actually write several more also, I think.
Well, he wrote
He's
back
doing
in
the
the old
crossover
52.
too, isn't he?
Yeah, that and back in the old 52, he wrote Flash Rebirth when Barry Allen came back during Final Crisis.
Oh, I see. I don't know. I have to play catch up on Arrow, so
How many? Well, this week's Arrow was big too.
yeah, I heard Raj Al Ghul was there.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really give anybody like my opinion about Ra's al Ghul because he was just at the end. But the only reason I think he looks weird is because he doesn't have that iconic hair or that iconic Fu Manchu beard.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks.
But
he looks better.
you know,
than
we'll
Liam
wait and
Neeson,
see.
I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, well, like I said, I have to catch up on a handful of those episodes. I definitely want to get caught up on all that before the crossover event, so that I kind of know what's going on both sides of the fence before they, before the two storylines kind of converge. So I don't know. I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far, though.
They're making the shows where you have to pretty much
Watch both of them.
watch them both go, simultaneously, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll definitely keep everybody up to date on that and kind of what our thoughts are there and stuff. All right, I guess let's not bury the lead. Let's just jump right into the fucking deep stuff here and let's talk Marvel.
So many feels.
All right,
God.
let's talk about Marvel. They had a press conference last week, the day after or later, the same day that we recorded.
The day after.
It was the day after we recorded
Yep.
episode 48. Those bastards came out with all the big news just a day late. That sucks, but
I didn't even think they were gonna. I thought this was some super secret meeting and they weren't gonna release anything to us. But nope, they released a whole shitload of shit and just.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your theory of like the whole like, oh, it's nobody knows about it, not even all the writers, and they're not even.
That's what I thought I
press in
heard.
there.
Yeah, he shot your shit out of the water. What
Live coming at you with Brian Fantana. Like,
I mean, let's Brian, you got the official announcements over there?
Yeah. So what happened was Tuesday, they had a press conference, like we said last video, basically saying, "Hey, we've had this for a while, and we were gonna." Kevin Feige basically said, "Hey, we were gonna release this at San Diego Comic-Con, but we didn't have some things in fine print, and we chose this time to do it because now we could say everything." I mean, at San Diego, you saw that they released just dates. It was just dates for their movies, but now, since they had everything official, they chose to do this meeting, and the meeting was basically, hey, we have our phase 3. Since phase 2 is almost over, we're going to blow your minds. And basically, that we already knew Ant-Man was going to come out, because that's next year in July after May's Avengers 2. So the first thing he led off with like if anybody out there has watched the video that's going around of the press conference, he basically announced Captain America 2 as being called
Captain
Serpent
America 3.
Society.
Oh,
Captain America 3. He first released it during the meeting called Serpent Society until the end where he's like, haha, I'm just kidding, it's Civil War. And
now, okay, let's talk about this for a second. Captain America Civil War, slated, let's see, May 6, 2016.
yeah.
I am actually currently reading the Civil War comic book series, which with all the tie-ins, which most of the tie-ins are pretty pertinent stuff, is like 106 issues.
Yeah,
Now,
it's a long event.
I personally feel like there's way too much there to put this into one movie and do it justice at all.
Well, here's the thing, though, and Marvel's has already said that, with other movies they're doing is they're giving them titles simply based on the name, not really much of the storyline.
Yeah. He said that I think after the conference itself, people like press was allowed to like ask Feige questions and stuff like that, and basically it was stated, I don't know, by him or somebody else in Marvel Studios, that it's not the comic book was about secret identities.
Yes.
This won't be, because there really are no secret identities in the Marvel cinematic universe. Everybody, basically, it's like everybody knows Tony Stark's Iron Man, everybody knows
that's true.
Captain America and stuff like that. So they said something along the lines of, this is not going to be about secret identities. It's going to be about the global, like, because Age of Ultron is this global event that just tears everything apart. It's more going to be like the global government wanting to keep tabs on everybody, to kind of overlook everybody. There's no shield. There's no.
So it's still the same. Essentially, it's the same concept, though, because the whole reason that they wanted the secret identities was so that they could keep tabs on all of the superheroes. So I go back to my point, like, even if you take the secret hero identity part out of it and say keeping tabs, that still follows the storyline of the comic books pretty closely. I think that's way too much material for 1.5 hour movie.
It seems like my whole thing with this is supposedly in Age of Ultron. Well, if you guys saw the clips people put online about the clips they actually showed, they showed a part from Age of Ultron where Tony and Cap are speaking to each other, chopping wood, and they're talking about a subject like this, and he's going on like, what did the Maximoff girls showed you? What did they show me? What did they show Thor to make him drop the hammer? So they kind of did a thing where something's gonna happen, like almost as Original Sin. You remember in Original Sin where they all got these sins showed to them? Almost like it sounded almost like that, and they're talking about,
because that was so successful.
Yeah, but they're talking about, like, what's happening and how can they control something like this from happening again. And Cap has this dope line about, in war there are always casualties or something like that. So it kind of shows you Captain America 3 coming. Like, they're at odds with one another.
I really feel like in order to make it work and call it Civil War and justify the fact that probably most of the Captain America 3 movie is going to be primarily superheroes fighting superheroes, I feel like they have to pretty much start it. Like, they have to explain it and start it in Age of Ultron. Like, you have to basically realize who's on which team and everything that's happening by the end of Age of Ultron. Otherwise, I think they're going to be trying to cram way too much into one movie.
Well, supposedly Age of Ultron, also at the end, it's been rumored that Cap has a new team assembled with him, kind of like a new Avengers.
Right.
So, I mean, if they do it smart, the Civil War will be like him and Tony fighting and stuff like this. Maybe have some heroes with Cap and maybe some people are standing by Tony, and then you see the effects of that bouncing through other movies, and then by Infinity War they have to get back together or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they play it out like that, that could work. Which would make sense talking about one of the other movies than Black Panther movie. That was announced,
well, also
because that's
with,
a big part of that's a huge part of the Civil War comic book series, was the wedding ceremony of the Black Panther and Storm. But then that begs the question of, how do you play that? Like, you can't even really do that cinematically because Marvel doesn't have the rights to Storm.
Yeah,
because of Fox and the X-Men.
Supposedly, not supposedly, they said that the first time you'll see Black Panther in his costume and front and center in a movie will be Civil War, will be Captain America 3. So he'll be in there, but as of what kind of part, maybe, Tony wants to drag out Wakanda, because Wakanda in the movies is still like a nation nobody really knows about, and stuff like that. Who knows? I mean, who knows what they could do with that?
What do you think about this, Pirate?
Well, I mean, I think them having like the Civil War name, I mean, I think it's just going to be only in name and slight hints. But I don't know. I mean, I think the lineup looks good. I mean, if you look at the lineup, I looked at a fucking website. I think it was on Business Insider or something like that. They had the lineup for every comic book movie that we're going to see. And it was just ridiculous. It's like on 2020. And then they had a bunch that had no release dates, like that were just slated to be on there, I don't know. I'm excited to see the Captain America, but I don't know. Brian's gonna hate this, but I'm kind of more anxious to see Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, here's my problem, okay? With the whole fact of, like, I mean, Age of Ultron looks sweet, but again, they're using the Age of Ultron name, which is a well-known crossover event within the comic book series. It was a huge event. It was a big success. It was a great story. Everybody loves it, but they're using it in name only. Now they're doing it with Civil War as well, to where it's potentially not going to have anything to do with the actual Civil War comic book story arc. They're just simply using these names as placeholders just to garner publicity. They're doing it just to get attention to the movie, and they're really doing what we as comic book fans typically don't like, which is just shitting all over that storyline. They're not following that storyline. So you look further down into it and you get to the big announcement, which we'll talk here in a little while about, is Avengers Infinity War. Well, if they're not going off of storylines at all, then... Oh, we just lost Brian. Let's see if he pops back in.
I think the Dawn of Justice pissed them off.
The Infinity War, if we get to Infinity War, are they going to actually go with a real Infinity War storyline? Or are they just going to, because, I mean, first of all, it was called Infinity Gauntlet. But secondly, like, clearly they're trying to market it as though it's the same as that comic book story arc event. But if history proves itself, it's not going to have anything to do with the story that was in the comic books. And I don't like that. I don't like that.
I don't think they're doing so much. To me, it makes sense that you're not going to go with specific comic storyline.
But why not? The scripts are already written.
But they don't have rights to a lot of characters and things that happen that they physically do with character rights. I mean, look at Civil War with no Spider-Man.
That's a good point. I mean, and that plays further to my point of, why do you call it Civil War when Civil War was such a huge, impactful event, and it had these in particular, key characters that they cannot even include, like Spider-Man, like Storm. These are very, very important pieces of that puzzle that made the Civil War story what it was, and you can't even include them, but you're still calling it Civil War. I don't like that. That'd be that's just like Age of Ultron. The most important character in Age of Ultron was Wolverine. Wolverine's not even going to be in Age of Ultron. He was the central focal point character of that whole story arc. And now, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I just think they're going to make it work. I mean, Marvel has their track record's unbelievable. Their track record's better than any other comic book related.
I mean, they're going to make a watchable movie. Yeah, they're going to make a watchable movie.
Yeah, I mean, I have not been let down by a single movie they've ever done since they've started making building this cinematic universe.
Yeah, I mean, like, you gotta also remember that they're not doing the whole story on their comic books. They've even said this for DC and DC's television universe. They, like, these, you know how in comic books there's, like, the Ultimate Universe is separate from the normal Marvel universe and the DC universe. The main universe is different than Earth 2 and Earth 3. This is basically a whole nother universe. So these storylines that they're doing for this universe, even though they mimic the comics titles, these are this universe's different
That's my point, though.
versions.
That's my point, though, is like, if you're going to do that, you should really pick a different title. You should really...
More or less.
Well,
I mean...
No, you want to use... technically, if you're going to do... You
that's
can
almost
use the same title. It's just this is what happened. This is what happened with this version of Civil War in this world. I mean, it's a cheesy cop out, you know.
That's what I'm getting at. Is it's a cheesy cop out. Just like you wouldn't have an Ultimate Universe Civil War and then have a regular Marvel Universe Civil War, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't have 4 different versions of Civil War in the comics.
They did that in the comic books. Recently, the Ultimate Universe had their own disassembled, and Marvel's normal 616 universe had disassembled years and years ago. That's almost like saying that, you know, you got to see Stephen Amell and Grant Gustin in a Justice League movie because now you just have, like, 3 Green Arrows going on at the same time, 2 Flashes going on at the same time. Why not just use Grant Gustin and fucking Stephen Amell in your movies and not, like, throw, hey, this is the Flash and this is also the Flash.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too, but I mean,
like, I'd rather see Grant Gustin instead of that guy I have no idea who it is.
Yeah.
That's the other thing to think about too, about this whole Marvel universe, cinematic universe thing, is how closely they're trying to tie it in with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and how utterly terrible and horrible the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show is doing. I really think that they're only keeping that show on the air not because it's profitable, but because they have to at this point, because they've written so much stuff that ties into it that the movies depend on, and, you know, there's so much back and forth that they can't take it off the air because it would leave gaping holes in some of the upcoming storylines. Do you guys think that they're going to really keep Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the air that much longer?
Yeah. If they're keeping Gotham on the air, they're going to keep Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the air.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is terrible.
So is Gotham. I stopped watching it.
It is doing absolutely horrible.
This season, first season was hard to watch. This season's a little bit better because it's not really taking anything from the movies right now, except for the whole Hydra Shield little fight.
What'd you say, Pirate?
It's still dealing with the repercussions from Cap 2.
Yeah, but it gives it its own storyline. At least they're not hunting bullshit objects from movies and saying, hey, this takes place after Thor, and it's like this lackluster episode.
Yeah. The ratings for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
have
consecutively dropped every single episode this entire season, except for the last episode. The episode 9.
It's
It
also
got a
on a Monday
spike.
night, so you know what I mean. We're in
No, it's
football
on
season.
Doesn't matter. It shouldn't.
Tuesday
That's-
nights, right?
No, it's Monday.
Regardless of what night it's on,
I think it is Tuesdays. You're right. Never mind. Gotham's on Monday.
regardless of what night's on, it shouldn't always do worse than it did the week prior.
Oh, no, it
either.
shouldn't.
Like, I mean, that just flat out says you're losing viewers because your show is not interesting. Like, it's
I would
not
just want
entertaining.
Coulson back in the movies.
Yeah.
I think that was their original concept of what the TV show should ride on, is
Coulson.
that everybody loved Coulson enough that he became a recurring character in the movies. Because he was only supposed to be like Clark Gregg said in interviews. He was only supposed to be in that little part for Iron Man, but everybody fucking loved him that they kept on writing him into the movies.
Who is everybody exactly?
Like fans, he was a fan favorite, and
I don't.
they wrote him
I mean,
into the movies.
Are you serious? Like, do you really think that
Yeah.
people like wrote Marvel and said like, "Oh
No.
my god, I want Agent Coulson come back"?
It
Like-
was quoted by everybody, even Clark Gregg himself, that he was
again-
only supposed to be that agent in Iron Man.
Right,
That
but
was
again,
his
who
whole
is
role.
everybody? I mean, who are these people? Like,
Social media, dude, goes a long way.
I mean, I guess, but I don't. I mean, I remember I watched these movies just like you guys did, and like, sure, Agent Coulson was a neat character. He was good, but like, can you really look back to when you watched like Iron Man or Iron Man 2? I can't remember the first time we saw Agent Coulson.
Iron Man.
Iron Man 1.
So, can you really think back to that and like honestly say that like after you watched it the first time you're like, "Damn, I really hope I get to see Agent Coulson again." Like, no, fuck no. Nobody.
I mean, I don't think
guarantee
about
you,
things.
I guarantee you right now, nobody that even any of us know, not even just the three of us that are sitting here talking, nobody that any of us even know thought that even a little bit after watching it the first time. The first thing that you thought was
also,
like,
we're just
"Damn,
like
I can't wait to
that
see what
much
happens
of
next."
The majority. It's the same thing they did with Harley Quinn.
Man, that's I don't
She
know.
was a fan favorite in the cartoons, and they brought her over to the comics.
That's different entirely, though.
Well,
That she grew in popularity over a long period of time through usage in she was in the cartoon like you said, but then B they could measure that in ratings because they could see how episodes with her in it did versus episodes without her in it did, and then they incorporated her into multiple video games, which resulted in merchandising. So then you have a measurable to see how the merchandising of her stuff went. So I see how she became a popular character, and I agree with that. But my point is like, after Iron Man, the movie, nobody was like, fuck, I wish I could go out and buy an Agent Coulson doll.
You know what?
Or anything
You
like
know what,
that.
though? It only takes one person with enough clout to say, I like him. He did good. Keep
That's
him."
what I'm
That's
saying.
it.
That is
Yeah.
exactly what I'm saying. Is it wasn't millions and millions of fans loved him. It was somebody had what they thought was a bright idea at Marvel and said, you know what, that guy did a good job. We should make a spinning storyline that comes off of these movies and offshoots into TV. I did hear an interview with Joe Quesada where he talked about the fact that they had the whole first 2 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Winter Soldier planned out like that for years. Years
See,
prior.
here's the thing, though. With Agent Coulson, it was a lot more than just like, hey, he did a good job in Iron Man 1. Let's give him a TV show, because he was in Iron Man 1. He was in Hulk. He was in Iron Man 2. He was in Thor. He was in
Those are
all
all
those movies
subsequent
leading up
movies,
to Avengers
though.
when he died. Huh?
Those were all subsequent movies, though. That's what I'm saying is like,
That's what I'm saying.
They saw the first performance.
Died, and they're like, let's just give him a show.
no, that's not. Joe Quesada went on record saying that all that shit was planned out from like the jump, basically.
yeah, they had everything.
They
planned
had
out.
for years. So I mean, to me, I don't think it was something where the fans at all were like, "Oh my gosh, we have to see Coulson back. We have to see Coulson back." At some point, like within the first movie or maybe 2 movies, somebody, I don't know if it was Quesada or if it was Feige or who, somebody at Marvel was like, this is good. This guy's playing a good character. You know what we should do is we should really take this and spin it off. And at that point, they wrote out the broad strokes for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. all the way through, or Agent Coulson and stuff, all the way through Captain America 2 through the first 2 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, also,
years ago.
His character of Agent Coulson was brought into the comics, and he's on that cartoon series, the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon series.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's like, I don't know. It's like a kiddish cartoon, so he's like the principal of the school.
Oh, really?
But he's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, but he's to watch over all the heroes.
The first time I remember reading him in the comics was Deadpool versus S.H.I.E.L.D.
They had that secret. No, when he first showed up, when they turned that black dude in the comics into, like, he was Nick Fury's son and stuff like that. He ended up being Nick Fury's son, and then he took over when Nick Fury finally disappeared, and he became Black Nick Fury in the regular comics. In the regular universe, he was his sidekick. He was his, like, friend.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird how they put him into the comic books.
When his first
comic
book appearance was here. Let me see if I can.
It might have been like Secret Avengers or something like that.
Yeah, it looks like Secret Avengers. Battle Scars. Shield. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like Secret Avengers might have been the first comic book appearance. First chronological appearance, though, I believe, was Iron Man 1. Then Iron Man 2, then Thor, then Avengers.
Oh, so he wasn't in the Hulk then?
No.
No.
And then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., obviously. So, I don't know. So let's jump back over and talk the next one, Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch, I mean, is going to be playing Doctor Strange. What do you guys think about that one?
I like it. I think he made an awesome Sherlock. So
yeah, he did not play that straight-laced. Yeah, Doctor Strange is kind of straight-laced in the comic books.
Oh yeah.
Also was a surgeon first, and then injured himself, and then became the master of mystic arts. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a different feel for a movie because it's going to blow into the whole mystic arts realm and magic and stuff like that.
I just hope they don't take the... I think this movie has a ton of potential to be incredible. Possibly one of the better ones. But I think that also has the potential to be the worst one if they go too far with like the CGI and the special effects and stuff. Because with that kind of stuff, the mystic arts and all that, comes the potential for, just over the top Michael Bay type CGI and stuff.
Gonna blow up everything?
Well, you know what I'm saying, like
spin around it in camera shots with little wobble bass like dubstep, like wah, 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 wah.
Right. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be good. I just hope that they err on the side of caution when they're, adding all of the fucking, all the looks and stuff for his magic and dark arts, performances and stuff.
I think when it comes to CGI, Marvel's already busted its cherry with the Incredible Hulk in 2000. They know that what they can get away with and what they can't get away with.
I think it's a whole different ball game. I don't think that's I don't even think you can consider that because technology has changed so much since then.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you have, look at Hulk in 2008 with Edward Norton. That was done awesome, and people were really concerned about the amount of CGI in that one. I think they know. I think they know where the sweet spot is with CGI.
I'm also wondering, they also said a year back that they're not going to do any more origin stories. So I wonder what they're going to do. Are they going to do throughout the movie, they're going to give pieces to his origin?
I don't know.
Maybe they're going to arrow it and just flashback.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. Then we got, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, May 15th, 2017. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm excited for this
I
one
can't
too.
wait to see how they entered and the whole story of Jason Quill. I'm really looking forward to see how they use that character.
I'm also looking forward to see how much better Awesome Mixtape number 2 is than
I know,
Awesome Mixtape number 1.
That's setting the bar pretty high. The soundtrack for that fucking movie
that,
is
that
incredible.
soundtrack topped the charts.
I know.
Yeah.
Which,
It's the
like,
first
when was the
soundtrack-
last time that happened?
The
I
soundtrack?
think
I have no idea.
it was it's the first soundtrack to hit number 1 on the billboards.
Titanic?
Probably. That's the first
'Cause
one
all
I
the
could think of was like Titanic.
Girls wanted Heart Will Go On.
I seen this on UberFacts. They said it. I gotta look this up now. You guys.
All right,
continue.
we'll
I'm
keep
gonna-
going. You dig for some data
I'm
on that.
hunting.
So then after that we got July 28th, 2017, Thor Ragnarok. I love the fucking Thor movies. I love them. So I'm
love
excited
gonna
about
be-
this.
Ragnarok 'cause it
That's
reminds
going to
me
be
of
another
Thor.
like CGI
That will be a heavy CGI
insane
film.
because the whole storyline. I had a friend to me. Oh, they're making a movie about
But
a Thor
again,
robot.
you got to remember they're using this shit in title only. Remember, like we talked about, this is again another case of where they throw in something in there that like Civil War, like Infinity War, like Age of Ultron, just to get you excited because you're a comic book fan, and it may have not shit to do with what you're thinking.
This is what I think about it. Well, we know Ragnarok in the comics was the Asgardians fighting Sulfur and his demons because they wanted to grab this sword that Odin and the Asgardians protected. That once you pull the sword from the rock, kind of like Excalibur, it means the end of the world, like end of everything. So, one of the many villains for Thor 2, The Dark World, was going to be either the Enchantress and her sidekick that I forgot the guy's name, or it was going to be Sulfur before they went with Mahlalath. So I think that demon's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be in the scale of the like Asgardians versus a shit ton of demons. It might not. But I think he's going to be the main villain, that Sulfur Demon dude. But you also have to one of the announcements Kevin Feige said when he was talking about Thor Ragnarok is that Loki will return, which we know because
Clearly.
Loki's in the fucking throne. So hopefully it tells us what the hell happened, that he was able to kill or whatever Odin. That's what I'm looking forward to. Tom Hiddleston most of all, because once he's in a movie, he like drives that Thor movie.
Yeah. What do you think, Pirate? You excited for the Thor Ragnarok or?
Yeah, I love they use Ragnarok title because it makes me think of the Gwar album Ragnarok and just gives me goosebumps. That was a great album.
It gives you goosebumps.
Next, we've got November 3rd, 2017, Black Panther. And what I would like to see personally out of the Black Panther movie, which probably almost definitely is not going to happen, is if, like you said, Brian, they're doing the Civil War and it kind of the tension between those relationships stretches out over multiple movies and you see how it plays out. I would like to see the Black Panther movie be like the Black Panther storyline of the comic book Civil War, where he's kind of the person that's trying to bring everyone back together.
Yeah.
You really need Storm in there to do that, so I don't see this happening for sure. But it would be really awesome if they had that event where, you know, Storm was marrying Black Panther and everybody was kind of coming to the wedding ceremony and you know, everything was kind of coming to a head or whatever. I don't know. But then...
I found...
okay, go ahead.
Well, as I'm looking through, like, I'm trying to look at record-breaking soundtracks, this and that, and I couldn't find it, but as I'm looking through it, I remembered exactly what it was that the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack did. It was the first album, not just soundtrack, album to hit #1 on the Billboard charts that did not have new music in
It didn't have a single new song in it, yeah.
Right. All the songs in it were fucking
Old.
20, 30 years old almost.
That's crazy.
So that's what it was.
So after let's see, after the Black Panther movie, we've got May 4th, 2018, which I can't believe we're speculating about movies this far out, but here we are. Avengers Infinity War Part 1, and then a year later in 2019 Part 2. What do you guys think about the Infinity War thing? This is the big announcement.
Yeah, man, if you saw like the footage that people got on their cell phones and posted online, you see like one of those teasers they do like way before the movie comes out, like pieces of other movie and pieces of like quotes from the other movie about like the Infinity Gems and the power of the Infinity Gems. I think that and then at the end you see, I had a brain fart.
Yeah,
at the end
clearly.
you see the gems inside the gauntlet, and the camera pans out and you see it's a hand like this, and then as the camera pans you see Thanos' face with the gauntlet on, and it closes his fist. I mean, that image alone was exciting, but for the movie, I think since they're gonna do it's going to be a giant crossover event. You're going to see everybody from space, everybody that's introduced in Captain Marvel and the Inhumans movie that are between the two parts. It's going to end up being, in part 2, the big slugfest with everybody going against Thanos, because not one single team can take him down because he has the power of a god. I mean, the first part might be, him collecting the gauntlet and the gems all finally put together. He starts fucking up everything in space and heading towards Earth because that quote at the end of Avengers 1 where going after them is like courting death. And then part 2 is the big slugfest where everybody has arrived already, and it's just like shit is going to hit the fan, and it's going to change everything going into phase 4. It's just the scale of the Marvel Cinematic Universe will just alter immensely and go into phase 4, which everything will be completely different, and new characters will be there instead of a lot of old characters.
I'm
and
curious
stuff like that.
Die throughout this whole time frame. All these movies. I'm wondering who's going to live and who's going to make it, or who's going to make it to the end, basically.
Well, we're also supposed to see a death in Age of Ultron. Somebody's supposed to die.
Really?
Yeah,
I did
that's
not
what
know
they've
about
been
this.
saying. They've been saying that for a while. An Avenger is supposed to die.
One
hoping it's
of
like-
the Avengers.
What?
One of the Avengers is supposed
Yeah.
to die.
I'm hoping it's like maybe Thor gets taken off, dies, and he's back in Asgard permanently. Maybe it's one of like
It's not
the
gonna
side
be,
characters.
Dude, it's not going to be Thor because they've announced Ragnarok.
That's why I
mean-
said Thor might not be on Midgard anymore.
You could pretty much guarantee that it's not going to be
I think
anybody
it's
that
one of the
has a
side
titled
characters.
movie for them. There's pretty much no way of that happening. So that boils it down to Hawkeye,
Black Widow.
Black Widow, Hulk, which chances of that are pretty slim.
Maybe Nick Fury
Possible.
dies.
Well, they've also said Hulk
Could
and
be.
Black Widow are definitely not getting solo movies.
No, they have not said that.
Well, it's definitely not going to be Hulk because they said going through the Age of Ultron, he's going to phase 3, he's going to pop up here and there.
Yep. And they did not say. They said that they haven't ruled it out, but they haven't. There's nothing. There's nothing
Yeah,
like
it's-
confirmed, but it hasn't been ruled out either.
It's going to be like Batman and Superman. They didn't put the solo movies in the list, but don't rule them out. They could just have something they're working
I know
on.
Jeremy Renner said that he's not doing a Hawkeye solo movie.
Right.
He has
so
no interest in doing a Hawkeye.
so
solo
there you
I
go.
was-
That could be your death in Age of Ultron right there.
What?
If Hawkeye,
Yeah.
if he's definitely not, if Hawkeye's definitely not going to have his standalone movie, and there's no mention of a Hawkeye appearance in anything else, I'm putting my money on Hawkeye. That's where I'm going.
Yeah,
with it.
I would say him.
He's kind of one of my favorite. I mean, from comic book wise, he was always kind of one of my favorites.
I like him too, but I'm put. That's where I'm putting my. That's where I think it's going to land.
I agree.
Or if you go. Well, no, I was going to say or Iron Man, but Iron Man's going to be in Cap 3, so.
Yeah. But you can't really say any of the big guys because, they're not going to get rid of the Hulk when they just put him in these Avengers movies. Tony Stark and Steve Rogers is safe because Captain America 3. Well, Thor's safe because of Ragnarok. You got to say one of the supporting characters.
Yeah, which I think that the only two that make sense are
Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Hawkeye and Black Widow. Or Scarlet Witch is going to be in this, and so is Quicksilver.
I don't think they're. I think this Civil War is going to be because of them. I think because now these people are popping up with these powers. I think they're going to be part of that Captain America team, that new team that assembles at the end of Age of Ultron.
That could be too.
I don't. Yeah. What?
I said that could be too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're just going to throw them in and then kill them all.
And then the last two movies announced were Captain Marvel and The Inhumans.
I'm kind of excited for Captain Marvel. I say kind of because I'm still how are they going to do the whole Carol Danvers Captain Marvel? Because she has Kree powers that she got from the original Captain Marvel. And the Inhumans I'm kind of interested in because, one, we kind of know they're going to end up making Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Inhumans, because this is going to be, they're going to change the Inhumans to be Marvel Cinematics mutants.
Mutants, right.
They have no mutants. They can't get mutants. Inhumans are the closest thing that they could kind of twist into mutants of some sort.
I could see the Inhumans movie being as almost a power play / threat to Fox to try and help get a partnership with Fox to get the X-Men back under the Marvel, some kind of partnership to get the X-Men back into the Marvel Cinematic umbrella. I could see that happening. For sure.
Plus, that's another movie that's going to stretch the CGI limits.
Yes, that is going to stretch them pretty far.
Because, all the weird powers they have, all the weird looks they have.
Agreed.
You have Medusa with her hair.
Yep.
Black Bolt. I'm interested to see what they're going to have him speak in the movie and crumble a mountain.
I don't know, man. It's what it does show is that there is going to be plenty for us to talk about for another year to come, at least, about all these movies.
I'm going to be 40 when this is all said.
I know,
and plus,
that's what I'm saying.
That's depressing.
In 2017, they start switching to 3 movies a year.
Oh my gosh.
2017 has Doctor Strange, Guardians, and Thor. Whoa. No. Take out Doctor Strange. Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, and Black Panther. And 2018 is Part 1, Captain Marvel, and Inhumans. We're just getting swamped with these movies. I'm happy. Well, that, and also throw in the DC movies.
I just hope they don't burn people out on it too.
Yeah, I'm hoping that doesn't happen too. But also I think about it. How many movies am I excited for a year? Maybe 5. This year was, what was it? Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy were 2 movies. Then you had Planet of the Apes and Godzilla.
Yeah.
That was 4 movies I was excited for.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting.
I wonder I think back the past couple of years with them just doing, one or the 2 movies or 1 or 2 movies, and the changes that they started making with the comic books based on those. Think of when they start doing 3 movies and the changes that they're going to make to the comic books.
It's just going to get more expensive as a comic book reader.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. We'll have to wait and see, but it does guarantee that we're going to be around for a while because there's going to be plenty of shit for us to talk about. So that's about it for this week. Make sure you stay tuned for next week, episode 50. We've got something a little different planned, something that's going to be pretty fun. I promise you'll like it. I'm Fox 2. Got Pirate.
See you guys.
And the whole F and Brian.
Sayonara.